Welcome to the Great Distraction.
How's it going, people? This is The Great Distraction, and today the topic of discussion is part of our conspiracy theories series, Flat Earth. My name is Ben. With me today are my co-host, Thomas.
How's it going, everybody?
Glenn.
Howdy.
And special guest back with us, Jay.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. The Great Distraction is a podcast that focuses on a vast and random range of topics, and we hope that each episode leaves you with, if nothing else, a little something to ponder. As always, we'd love to hear from you. Questions, comments, and topic suggestions are always welcome. Thank you for contacting us. And wow, I messed that up, didn't I? So what happens when I try and read? Yeah, hit us up on Facebook or by email, greatdistractionpodcast@gmail.com. Really quick, a little bit of background because this is the first time we've done this. We're going to break out a lot of topics into series subcategories, if you will. And this first one that we've chosen, I don't really know why we chose this one because we were all drunk and thought it would be funny to start this one out with, is in the conspiracy theories category. And that's going to be the series name is Conspiracy Theories. So just for whatever it's worth, those that have been following us for a while now, we will have titles that'll be the series title, colon, and then whatever that subtopic is. And this one, in this case, will be, of course, Flat Earth or Flat Earthers, or I haven't even decided how to name it yet. But I'm not sure how I feel about it just yet. But by the end of it, we might have a clearer picture, all of us. All right, starting us out. Right off the bat.
He can't even laugh during the introduction.
No, yeah.
Stop laughing.
He
can't even stop laughing, Jay.
And that's a good point, too. Right off the bat, I want to say that, as always, guys, our approach is as general as possible. We try and maintain as unbiased as possible. We try to maintain that level of commitment to our topics.
The key word here is try.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a lot more difficult than others. Sometimes it's easier than others. Some of our topics have been...
By maintaining that unbiased, you're applying better process than the subject that we're about to talk about.
I try. And I yeah.
Which is the goal of people with an IQ over 60.
Oh man, I usually try and do it by first putting myself in anybody else's shoes, and then try to understand their point of view and what angle they're coming from, and that is, in my opinion, exceptionally important in a topic like this because otherwise it just ends up being a hate or joke fest or whatever, and it's like there's got to be more there to at least understand why this exists. And I think that's usually more of a better focus than just, let's talk a bunch of shit about people.
You're a really nice person, and you try to understand what other people's point of views and try to digest it and see if it's plausible. I
wouldn't call it nice. I like to look at things more like there has to be some logic behind everything, no matter how illogical things may seem. And within, say, if a topic is 100% of something, there's got to be some percentage within it that is viable or even useful, or useful in understanding something else that is equally as useful or not useful by either or.
Everybody's face here except for Ben's is got a slight curvature of
hell
are you trying to how are you trying to validify this?
I'm not chalking shit and I'm not trying to prove validity to anything or justify anything. I'm merely saying that I believe that there has to be essence of something in everything that can be applicable across the board to something else. And
all right, well, what do you got for evidence that can help? What can you help their argument with?
Let's see. So you're going to put us in the frame of mind so that we understand this topic, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you walk away after this one, you're definitely going to understand flat earther mentality.
I'm ready.
I think I can lay that at least that much down.
Hey, lay it on me, man. Let's see.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
You scooping when I'm pooping? All right. And if you at home want to play along or are curious about,
I'm just. Please go.
If you at home want to play along and check out a little bit more, not only can you, yes, a lot of the facts that I got, you can go hop on the internet, watch these slew of YouTube videos. However, I think some of those are so far extremist that it's not really going to be helpful for understanding the topic. How the one in particular that I found was actually the Flat Earth Society webpage, or they have a wiki page too, where they explain as clearly as you're going to find it pretty much anywhere, their backing and their belief system and how all of this comes to be. So that's a great source if you really want to understand where this stuff came from and where it's going.
Can I ask you a question?
Shoot.
Are we going to split this into two different zones of the science and the psychology of this?
Sure. We can. Well, we're going to have to cover both in order to explain how this stuff comes about.
Because I just want to do away with the science part real fast.
Hold on, we'll get there. The other thing, too, is if you were interested in more information, you are welcome to check out the documentary on Netflix. The latest one that, there's actually a couple documentaries, but the latest one that I know about, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong if you've watched or heard of another one, is called Behind the Curve. And, it's free on Netflix if you have Netflix. But that, and, don't write it off yet if you haven't seen it. It actually does a great job of showing and... It doesn't directly disprove because it does try and tries to approach it as a little more...
I think it disproves it as clearly as possible.
But the documentary doesn't disprove it. It lets them disprove themselves. That's a big difference because whenever you choose a side, when you present any information, the scientific community knows about this all the time. And that's one of the things that the scientific community will mention a lot. You never make claims. You say, based on the current data, this is the... hypothesis, or this is the logical conclusion that we have made based on current data. You never close the door. You never say never.
I believe that in science, but I don't believe that the people that you're talking about have done that.
Yes, but...
First of all, science is not a thing.
There you go.
Science is a verb.
Yes. It's a methodology for collecting said data, and then from that, coming to a conclusion. And you can only prove a conclusion that with the current data that you have now for the time being. And that's one of the amazing things about our technological world, our scientific world, whatever, is that all conclusions are malleable.
All right, let's keep rolling.
You go back to... but this is critical because this is, I think, some of the stuff that's the baseline behind why things like flat Earth come about. Because people who don't understand the scientific method and who don't understand how we use data to come to conclusions, it makes it that much easier to believe things based on the lacking thereof, because you just don't understand how it is.
Well, you just fill in the blanks with whatever seems plausible to defend your point of view.
It seems like magic. Same thing as if you don't know how to work on a car. I don't know how it works. It doesn't work. I take it to the mechanic. He fixes it. It comes back. It's magic. Wow. There's a whole lot more deductive logic.
It's magic.
It's like the explanations I've heard, people saying that the sky is blue because it's reflecting light off the ocean.
Wow, that's an
not
interesting
true.
one.
I don't even know what to say. Okay.
Keep going. Keep reading.
Let's continue on. So that was actually the very first point that I wanted to make, that it was about science, your statement on science, in that it is actually a methodology. It's a verb. It's action. It is not a thing. And the reason I wanted to start with that is because the attacks of those that are on the flat Earth side, most of what I read was attacking science as a thing. They're rather than using a scientific method by which to prove their claims, they are just, NASA's the devil. Science is the devil. They've been lying to us. Okay.
Well, that's the easy way out.
Correct, and we'll play off of that. We'll go off of that a lot more. But that instead of using their methodology to disprove their claims, they immediately reshape that thing, into a noun, and then you have something that you can attack and something that you can claim is incorrect. Almost like if you were claiming a person is incorrect.
Well, it's like lying. If you get caught in a lie, the only way out of a lie is to lie more until you have so much of a lie that either people give up fighting you or it seemed plausible. I was on a hovercraft earlier. Where's the hovercraft? Well, the company took it. It was a test, and they only let me ride it.
Man,
see,
I like where you're going.
So I can't prove that this didn't happen. You can't prove that my claim didn't occur.
But you can't prove it didn't.
Right.
All right.
You guys can't prove that I'm not an alien.
It's true.
We are actually all aliens, so we're already done there. Okay, so let me give you a little bit about what they believe, because if you haven't heard of this concept, and a lot of people haven't, yes, we're not joking. There is a growing number of people on this planet, and I think they are much more than just Americans, who believe that the Earth is actually flat. Now, how does this work? And I wanted to go over a little bit of some of the mechanics that I was able to extract from where they currently are in their belief system. Antarctica is actually a huge, extremely high wall of ice that surrounds the entire perimeter of this coin-shaped Earth. Okay? There is a giant atmospheric half dome above us that keeps our atmosphere in, and apparently also the sun and the moon.
Oh, they're inside of it?
Yeah.
They're inside of it.
Oh, wow.
This gets better. That's why I wanted to go over this stuff, because
Well,
this
I've also
sounds-
heard that the sun is only like,
Okay,
It's still
a tiny
small.
little
It's small.
thing. Yeah, it's a little
the
dot.
the other thing too that I need to preface all this with is they are still somewhat divided in what they believe their beliefs are. There's factions, there is sections to flat earthers. Some believe it's this way, some believe it's that way, some believe this is the reason, some believe that. So they're not all unified together. Like
Catholics versus
it's a religious.
Baptists.
That's exactly where I was going to go with that. Southern
there's
Baptist versus
denominations.
Baptist.
There's denominations,
versus
if you will. Now, for the most part, they all believe that the Earth is not a spherical. I guess that would be the one unifying factor.
That's what they all agree on.
Yes, it's more coin-shaped. How the mechanics
Like a
work.
dime or a quarter.
But
Sacagawea coin.
but they are saying that it's a disc, not
Correct.
a column.
Yes, and that's what I'm reading to you as far as the mechanics of it is what I found to be the major group of them believe this, but there are other spin-offs that believe something a little different.
All right, let's hear it.
So sun and moon circle around us, and they are opposite one another, and they go around the North Pole. So that's how you have.
But how can there be north if everything's flat?
They call it the North Pole because when you look at the top of a globe, see, and I wish this is one area where graphics would be real nice for a podcast, because if you can see their models, you'd get a better idea of what
I've seen
they're
their model,
imagining.
and
But I don't know if
my argument is if you're going to believe that the Earth is flat, you have to erase south and north.
Yeah, so the center pole. They call it a monopole or Earth.
Yeah,
I got a monopole for them.
So anyway, they got the monopole where our North Pole is, or where the North Pole is, as far as, again, take the top of the globe, make it two-dimensional, surround it with a big wall of ice around the circular perimeter, stick a pole in the middle. There is now your monopole. It's not a north or south pole. You're right. It's the center of
Center
the Earth.
pole.
Center pole.
So you got to
Wonderful.
pop a hole in in Antarctica and spread it out so it encompasses the entire border of the planet.
Yeah. Very, very tall wall. Tall wall. Not Trump's wall. Tall wall.
Like
Maybe that's what inspired his wall.
Ooh, wow.
I think
Maybe
it's
he knows.
Game of Thrones.
Maybe he
Right.
knows. Wow.
Maybe we should get him to make a ice wall at the border.
Stop
Maybe
it.
Game of Thrones is
Really?
reality.
Wow.
Maybe Game of Thrones is really
Yeah.
a flat earther concept?
I don't know. Keep going with your facts. They're
Anyway.
funnier.
You guys are ridiculous. Okay, so
Okay.
so sun and moon rotate about this center pole opposite each other, and that's how we get day and night, because when the sun is on the other side of the planet, you don't have light.
So what about those times when the moon's in the sky at the same time as the sun?
Eclipses, boy, that one really threw
Oh
him
my
off too.
goodness.
There was a whole section on that. That was really good. As a matter of fact, the documentary covers how they were talking about that.
Of course it does.
Yes, I trying to understand their mechanics and understanding and claims of how this works. The only thing I could think of with that is that maybe sometimes the moon catches up with the sun. I don't know.
So
It's not important for this
Yeah,
discussion right
facts
now.
aren't important.
Is your breakdown cover gravity?
Yeah, I'm getting to it. So
Or the equinox. Cover that one too.
no, I didn't get. If you know about it, you're welcome to
Little
add that
bit.
one in there.
All right,
But
well,
okay. So sun and moon rising and falling is just a perspective effect, as far as they're concerned. It doesn't actually go up and down. That's just perspective.
This is why shadows do what they do.
Yes. Seasons happen as the sun moves closer or further from the North Pole, changing the temperature. So
The center pole, Ben.
the center.
pole.
Oh, you're right. I didn't write that in my notes.
Terminology here, buddy. Come on.
Hey, no
So the sun is some kind of nuclear reaction floating around inside of a dome,
they
or
didn't-
some kind of heat source.
some sort of heat source. Yeah, because
Wouldn't it over time
cord?
increase the heat of that enclosure to be to a point where we couldn't survive because it would burn everything?
Is it plugged in?
I don't know. It's not plugged in now, but
is it solar?
come on. The okay. So your question.
Just
you
keep
guys
going.
messed me up. I'm trying, assholes. Okay.
By the way, he hasn't even read one page yet.
Right.
Oh no, I've got. I love picking everything apart. It doesn't
I
matter
think we should
what it
just
is,
let you
dude.
go through this, and then we'll go from there.
I just wanted to lay down some facts. That was the first thing I thought of. Was wait a minute.
Well,
okay.
we're still waiting for some facts.
These are their. This is their mechanics, right? Because
Oh,
you're
yeah.
right. That was an incorrect word. Because anytime we hear a theory, I want to hear what the theory is based on. The first thing I think of is, okay, I'm not going to reject you because.
But I want to
I'm
hear why
curious
you
about
think
everything.
that. I want to hear.
That's what I'm going
Okay,
through.
right. We're already having lots of problems with the list.
I understand, but I wanted to lay out so that there's some background.
Just get to gravity and let's.
Gravity's the next one. Hold on. One more thing. The Earth is not a planet. Okay, planets are defined by the Greek definition. I'm getting all this from what they've said. Okay, by their Greek definition as wandering stars, or the Greek translation rather. Okay, Earth is the center of our solar system, with planets that are spherical revolving around it. Okay, where have we heard this before?
I'm not even going to mention it.
Yeah, this is not new, and it has very, very strong religious ties. Gravity is due to the coin of the Earth consistently being accelerated upwards.
Oh yeah, I read that part.
At 9.8 meters per second, which for those who don't know,
through what?
The acceleration of gravity well, as we know it now, is 9.8 meters per second or 32 feet per second. That is the acceleration of our gravity, not in the flat Earth. In the flat Earth, they also adopted that apparently. It is, and they believe that we are being accelerated by a universal acceleration. They have Newtonian physics. They have backing that they claim from equations that they've pulled and whatever. The beautiful part is that it's written. That's why I enjoy reading this stuff, because it was really, really interesting to see how you can confuse people. Because again, you can extract other things from it. Anyway, so they have Newtonian physics equations that they've laid out to prove several things, to make several points, I should say. The first one is, wait a minute, if we're constantly accelerating, we're going to hit the speed of light, right? But are you guys denying that Newtonian physics is incorrect and that nothing can go the speed of light? No. Here's the equation that proves we can't hit the speed of light. Okay, so what happens if we keep accelerating? We don't answer that. Just, you can't hit the speed of light. We're just accelerating. That's it. Show them some equations. Looks scary, looks big, looks confusing, and it stops there. So there's no answer to the question, but this is the cloak and dagger, man behind the
So they
the
don't.
curtain.
They just flat out refuse to believe that gravity exists.
Now, what we're going to do is when you come up with anything, gravity exists. Remember, we're accelerating upwards. What they're refusing to acknowledge is if you continually accelerate, you would be going faster than the speed of light. But then at the same time, they acknowledge that you can't go faster than the speed of light. We agree with the Newtonian physics that says we can't do that. But you're still accelerating constantly. I understand.
Roll with it, Jay. I want to hear it.
You could say it.
Right, number one, if gravity existed in some mythical land called reality, and you lived on a disk, the further out in that disk that you went, you would start to lean backwards towards the center. Disk, because that's where mass is.
Yep.
So gravity is created by mass and energy. The further out you'd get on this disk, there's more mass behind you than there is in front of you.
It would bend things.
You're thinking about gravity in the traditional way.
No, I'm thinking about gravity as it is. And basically, as it's gone from theory to hypothesis, and mathematical equations don't just prove it, they explain the things that we see and the things that we measure from day to day.
Absolutely.
But in their world, this disc, and I read a bunch of this too, their disc is moving at this slow rate upward to keep this gravity at whatever that rate is, 32
Correct.
feet per second.
Through
that it's
what?
moving through space,
Dark
apparently.
energy. Dark
apparently
energy.
We're traveling through space, and we don't know it. We're catching up with Star Trek. So it's moving.
We
so
are
the whole
traveling through
disc.
space, but-
So the whole disc apparently is moving equally
Yes.
upward.
Created an equal
But I don't
gravitational
understand how
pull
it
down.
can be up because we're in space, and if everything's flat, we don't have a north or south. So I don't understand.
The definition I read for that was that infinite plane. So space is infinite. Again, they take some scientific things. Infinite plane.
I'll agree. Space
Constant
is infinite.
constant even acceleration. Therefore, everywhere on the coin planet, you have
The exact same amount of gravity.
Okay, so it's not necessary for me to get into the science of this.
no,
No, because there isn't any.
no.
Well, no, I
because
mean-
it's too easy to end it, and there's much more to it than just disproving.
Like the
it.
narcissism of the people that are pushing
What
it so
about
much.
surface pressure? I mean, you have a higher altitude, you have a lower pressure lower atmospheric pressure. You go in the ocean every 33 feet. Your surface
Okay,
Pressure. If there is no gravity, then pressure cannot exist.
right.
Period.
Well,
So
wait, hold
if you
on,
were to
though.
poke holes in a bottle, with liquid in it, then they should all come out exactly the same versus the one on the bottom, which goes further than the one on the top because the pressure is reducing.
Right.
So they don't understand what a concept of a vacuum is. They think a vacuum is sucking in something versus
The lack of.
You would still have pressure going underwater because the pressure underwater comes from the weight of the water above you. So even if there were no gravity, I guess I don't know if you could make that claim, but nevertheless, you would still have increasing pressure as you went further down under the water.
If you didn't have gravity, you wouldn't have different pressure the deeper you went.
Okay.
All the water would be sitting on
It'd be like
itself.
in space.
It wouldn't be compacted.
if you had no gravity on a disc,
But they say
flying
there is
through
gravity.
space,
You have constant pressure down.
But it would be
but
evenly distributed through the entire body of water. It wouldn't be layered as it stands.
Well, if we were on a disc with their system, all the water on the planet would sit in the middle
Exactly.
in a dome.
Because
basically.
if that center pole is the basis of gravity, everything on the edge
The center pole is
gets
not the
moved
basis
in.
of gravity.
But
I
see,
know, but they said exactly. But
in
what
order
Jay's
to
saying
have
is how I
force-
feel too. But it's not because they
in
think
order
it's
to have force, which is what they're describing, there must be a propellant.
Yes, dark energy.
Okay, then they're
So I think-
acknowledging the understanding of
I think
energy.
Think about so I think maybe
but dark energy,
think- dark energy.
I think
Like
they're
it's
watching a
in
lot
the-
of
in the
Rick and
dark.
Morty.
Yeah. Yes.
Dude,
So
Rick
think-
and Morty. Don't make fun of Rick and Morty.
They're way smarter than flat earthers.
Let's
And the
let's
dig
okay.
begins.
Let's look at it this way. Let's look at it this way. Take a bowl. Okay. Take some mud from that bowl. and
Oh, I'm going to take a bowl, all right.
Okay. Take some mud from that bowl and slap it in the middle. Okay. You got ridges, natural ridges from that bowl, right? Some parts are going to be deeper because the mud is going to be deeper. Some parts are going to be higher. Some parts are not. Then you're going to fill that with water. Okay. You're not going to fill it all the way up with water. You're going to fill it up a little bit with water. Okay. Now, what you have is a boundary around it. There's your ice wall that holds in the land and holds in the water. Now, accelerate that at 9.8 meters per second. What's going to happen? Nothing. It's just going to stay there. It's going to have a constant downward force. There's your gravity. It's not going to pull the water into bowls. You're still going to have pressure under the water because of the amount of water that's above you.
Because this dark matter that they describe
This
is
magical
is
dark
perfectly
matter.
evenly
What they're
pushes against the bottom of the disc so
are
that it moves at 32
G-forces.
feet.
Yes, it's a G. That's exactly it. It's a G-force that's creating gravity from what they're. But they didn't say G-force. I didn't read that anywhere. But you're right. That's what it is. Yeah.
What is the G of the force?
Right?
So-
Good luck. That's what it is.
Now,
Good luck.
however,
maybe
though-
it's a
So wait, wait,
volcano.
wait. So
It's a
let me get
volcano
to
that's
the
upside
whole-
down, pushing out against.
Let me get to this question because clearly it's not necessary to get into the math or
No, it's
anything that's relevant. So let's ask this question: to what end does this conspiracy exist? Why? And we can go back to the Greeks. The Greeks knew that the planet was a circular, not a circular,
Spherical?
was a sphere. Okay, because this really odd thing called math. So this conspiracy has either that was the source of it, the Greeks were the source of it, or what is the source of this conspiracy and why?
Yeah,
who is it that needs to know and doesn't?
And who's going
need
to profit
know?
to it from it? Because that's one thing we say all the time. If there's a conspiracy theory, then usually somebody has a profitability to people being lied to, right?
This is the trap of Occam's razor. Occam's razor is a beautiful thing. It's also an easy thing to rationalize behind. It's the simplest answer. The more complex the situation, the answer is most likely the simplest. That's how you start with scientific method, and then you disprove all the simplicity until you get to the complexity that is the truth. And if we want to have to say it, that the truth as we know it based on the data we have today over the last...
But the conspiracy theory is that all of that's a lie.
All of that's a lie.
That's why we've been
correct.
lied to. We've lied, and there's so much of a conspiracy theory that some of the things I read into that were the most shocking was that even GPS is a lie.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
It's of course and their belief,
Apparently navigation is too.
navigation is so. In their belief, pilots think that they're going in straight lines, but they're actually going in curves.
Yes,
because the
that's what they say,
GPS is such a lie.
Is a mile a mile?
Well,
in the same
okay, hold
places
on.
the
Well, there's
disc?
another argument that I have about some things. I can go into a whole other thing about distance. But
You guys,
I'll
you guys
wait
are
on
going
that
too
one.
far into the science behind it. And
Because a mile or a kilometer in, let's say, Nevada is not going to equal the same thing as it is in South America anywhere, because it would have been
Right.
stretched.
But
And
we
so
have
the
to.
time to get at that distance would be different.
But we have to agree on something, that distance, even if, okay, so the plausibility of or whether you believe it's flat
Thomas,
or,
this is a stupid conversation.
I know, but let me be dumb for a minute
to
here.
dig into the science.
Let me
of
be
it.
dumb for a minute. If we've agreed that the distance between point A and point B is a distance, let's say Los Angeles to New York, whether it's flat or round, we all can agree. Same distance, because a flat earther can drive from LA to New York, and it's the same distance as a person who believes it's round, unless the flat earther would believe that
it's not, but
it's
yes.
not because of our
Because of the curvature, the radius, because of the radius, yeah.
Okay.
But
Longitude and latitude.
nevertheless, I mean, how do you measure that? You know, to
in
prove
miles and feet.
I
We've
understand.
got these things called rulers.
No, you're absolutely right. However, when you're looking at it, when you're trying to look at it through their logic, how do you really measure that and know that it's because you
Well,
can't?
that's one of my biggest arguments with this conspiracy theory, and everybody knows I'm all up for a good conspiracy theory.
Right.
I'm all about it. You know, I think everybody at this table likes a good.
That's why I have a blast
theory.
researching
No,
this
see,
stuff.
I'm not.
See it? Okay, so Jay's out of this one.
That's why he's here. We
right.
have
We
somebody
gotta
who
have
doesn't who is against them.
Do you know how hard it is to actually have a society of humans that we understand with the gray matter that's up in this skull? Do you know how hard it is to actually have a series of people? Let's just use the United States for example, that because this comes to the cornerstone of what I think this is about. We are an animal that needs other animals around us, and we need animals to have society and to culture. Okay, so when you build out a YouTube video that gets 1 million hits or even 40,000 hits,
Try
in the first-
millions.
I don't care.
Got it.
It's more than you knew when you were in the basement with your mom. Okay, suddenly you're part of a group.
Hey, your mom.
My mom.
Talking about my mama.
My mom
You
doesn't
talking
have
about
a
my mama?
basement.
Oh yes, she does.
Dude, how do you know about all this? We kept this quiet. It's a conspiracy.
All right.
So
It's
how
on the
do you,
down low from here on forward.
all these people can keep a secret for this long when our basic instinct is to share and to put ourselves in a position either above or below somebody else. When I hear the whole breakdown of those in power keep the power by keeping it a secret, that's an absolute back-ass proposition. People who are in power stay in power because they enjoy power, and the only way they can enjoy power is by letting other people know that they have power. So the whole breakdown of this comes from the fact that we as a species share. There's no way that conspiracies in general. So there are some things that are conspiratorial.
Conspiratorial.
So you're saying there's
Surely.
real conspiracy theories and not real conspiracy theories?
No, there's
Anyway.
conspiracies that have been proven.
There's conspiracy hypotheses?
But these generalized global conspiracies, no.
Right. Gotcha.
Religion is a conspiracy.
But
I thought you were going where I was going to take this with the psychological angle of
let's hear what you're putting down, Ben.
well, we're not. I wasn't there yet.
Let's wait to hear what you're putting
I
down.
didn't mean to twist this.
No. You did actually. You were heading in the same direction I was going. It's not the right direction. No right or wrong at this stuff, but nevertheless, you were heading in the same direction. And when you start hearing this kind of stuff, and just as we begin, talking about trying to lay out facts to prove or disprove it, right? Because that's the first thing everybody wants to do. And that's why I wanted to start with that, because I wanted to get that out of our systems. Because that's not really what flat earthers are about. That's not really what the concept or conspiracy theories, period, are about. There are a lot of people in this world who look for these things. And as a matter of fact, from the documentary and several of the YouTube videos that I watched, people who looked into the background of the leaders of this particular conspiracy theory, those people openly admitted that they had gone through any number of conspiracy theories beforehand. This is a certain type of people that feeds these types of things. They want to believe that there is something to not believe in, so to speak. They think it's the X-Files. The truth is out there, right?
I think some of these people have this narcissistic belief that they want to be the one who proves something
That could be
to
part
change
of it
the
too.
world.
It could definitely be an ego-based thing too.
I think a lot of it
That's
is.
the power thing.
Yeah,
That
again,
would be
it goes into
what
power.
feeds the drive for the power.
I mean,
right?
why would you wear a shirt that has your name on it?
I don't know. I've never worn a shirt that had my name on it.
Yeah, but you watched a show where the guy did.
he did.
I'm Dick Sargent.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Don't mention their
What's
names.
his actual-
I don't know. Don't mention their names.
Dick
We're
is
not,
his name,
We're not
for
promoting this. Anyway, you guys want to know the names of the proponents that are the leaders of this stuff? Go for it. Spokespersons or whatever. We're not here to promote
Wrong first name anyway.
any of it. Yeah, I can't remember what his name was.
I'm going to
I
wear
know
a
what you're
shirt that
talking
has my
about now.
name on it all the time, and then tell
I'm
me.
wearing a shirt that says Richard Feynman on it.
Yeah, but that's not your name.
No, it's he's a physicist.
So, when you start hearing these claims and the same stuff that we're just, batting back and forth about for the last 20-something minutes, this stuff is not unlike a lot of other common things that we hear a lot about. Like, for example, the Earth is only 3,000 years old. There
6,000.
6,000. Whatever.
6,000.
Pick a number. Pick a number that isn't millions.
82.
Yeah, oh,
I picked a number.
the dinosaurs don't actually exist.
How old's the universe?
I don't know. I'm not one of these people. I don't know. I haven't
40,
looked at- This is a whole
46
different
be 40
conspiracy
be
theory.
47 in October.
Yeah. That
AARP has not come for the universe yet.
Yeah,
Then.
just a couple more years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seas can be parted and that a man can be killed and brought back to life. These claims or these stories are no different than stuff that we have all been born and bred here in this country hearing about and being told is true. So when I hear things like this, it really doesn't shock me. And I understand that lack of empirical scientific data doesn't mean a whole lot to a lot of people. Like a lot of people.
Well, the star of the documentary that you referred to previously, since we're not naming names or anything, because I did watch the documentary, and I think it was in the documentary, he stated something like this: "This comes down to people not being able to believe in something bigger than themselves.
That's, yep.
Something larger or more powerful than themselves," which gets you to the God format. Which to that, anybody who's well versed in science or in the disciplines of understanding, or actually, let me rephrase that: the disciplines of understanding discovery is important. Understands that nothing about us is larger than what we find outside via discovery, via science. Science makes us the smallest thing you can possibly even imagine. So that whole statement of it's just not believing in something bigger than yourself is completely the opposite. It is, you're right. It is going towards the religion aspect. To that, I asked, so all of this was engineered then?
Absolutely.
So-
well, wait. What is all of this? This theory?
The disc is engineered.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
the
theory
dome
that
is
we're in a
engineered.
Okay, now I did not go into what flat earthers feel about the origin of humanity or the origin of the planet. I didn't, or evolution, or not evolution, Big Bang. I did not.
No, they discount Big Bang.
Okay,
they,
so
they
they
discount gravity, so therefore they discount space,
Okay.
basically. So the universe, universe. Forget about Newtonian.
Well, they do
Quantum goes away.
They do believe that it is infinite because many of them believe that we're on an infinite plane. They do identify that there are other planets circling around us, that we are the center of the solar
No,
system.
that's not what I. That's not what I saw. What I saw.
That's what I
was
got off the flat Earth
the
website.
The dome is all lit. Is basically they're all artificial lights. Is what I got from them.
No, the sun and the moon are inside the dome, supposedly.
They are artificial though.
Oh, I didn't get that. I figured it was still a ball of gas, like a little mini star or something. That's what I figured they were talking about. I don't know. I didn't. Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe artificial doesn't exist in their world anyways.
But they do identify that there are other planets outside of this little mini solar system that we're in, this dome that we're in.
Yeah, one of the arguments I saw was how come Jupiter doesn't get sucked into the sun?
Yeah. Because it's outside of our dome. We have our own little sun. Fancy that.
And it's a spotlight.
That's right.
It's a spotlight.
Yeah, 'cause
it's a focal spotlight.
It has a focal
apparently, yeah.
spotlight, yes. And that's how we're
There's
able
a
Which
grip.
puts us heat.
Yeah, well, there's a grip that works on that, and he adjusts it every once in a while.
So we're in the
Those of you who don't know what a grip is,
we're in the Truman Show.
yeah, right. Yeah,
That
hey,
was
there
an
you go.
example that was used a couple of times. Yes, if you haven't seen the movie The Truman Show, yeah, that's very much an example that they liked because that's how they defined this existence, I suppose. So you kind of led, Jay already kind of led into where I wanted to go, is what kind of people are, next anyway, what kind of people are following this and supporting this belief system? Because it definitely has followers, it has conventions, it has massive views. Now, take really quick though, I wanted to comment on the views. Yes, there are millions and millions of views on YouTube for various flat earther videos. However, that doesn't mean there is no correlation between number of views and number of believers, because people will watch it just for the wow factor.
No, it's estimated that there are 6 million people in the United States that believe the Earth is flat.
Wow, I didn't look up a number. So 6 million. That's a huge
2%.
amount of people. That's a huge amount of people. Yeah.
Wow.
So there you go. If you didn't have a number,
How many
before,
believe in angels?
there you
I
go.
don't know.
Yeah. So
How many believe in reality is one question I want to know.
That's more of a pertinent question these days.
Define reality.
that's another issue. You guys just open up a whole other can of worms. It's
a theory.
And this is why I can't.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is why I can't take black or white on anything. I always like to sit. Let's pick it apart a little bit more and try to understand what's really going on here. And I think that this is real. What's really going on here is a psychological condition that the best word I have for it is faith, or blind faith. Because as we saw in the first 30 minutes or so, or 25 minutes or so, there's obviously huge things that they cannot prove to prove these claims, and huge hurdles that they will not be able to jump over in order to prove these claims. So yet they use that to strengthen their belief. And we see this we see this application of faith, because we were having this conversation before we started recording. Faith, people as definition, does not have anything to do necessarily with religion. You can have faith in anything. I can have faith that if I hire Thomas to build me a beautiful piece of artwork, that he will do it, and he will do a good job. That's faith.
I'll push back on
All right, what do you got?
So why do you have faith in him?
Based on my past experiences
It's
with
called
him.
evidence that you just stated.
Evidence.
You just stated that's based on evidence.
Okay, no,
so that's not faith. Blind faith.
Regardless of where faith comes from, why can't it be faith?
No, that's you have data that says that in the past.
That's the reasoning for faith, but
No. Faith is without evidence.
is that really the definition? Are you sure?
Well,
blind faith. I think blind faith would be without
Maybe
any sort
blind
of
faith,
evidence.
but just
But
what's the definition of
your faith was based on past experience, and you mentioned that.
I don't know that faith needs to have a reason for it. What I'm just concerned with was the definition. What do you got, Jay?
well, if we go by the Googlers,
Google it, bro.
Google it, bruh.
so in one way you're absolutely right. Complete trust or confidence in something or something, or someone or something. Hold on.
Okay.
The second of the noun, because we're talking about a noun,
Yes.
is a strong belief in God or in the doctrines of a religion based on a spiritual appreciation rather than proof.
Well, then
So
I
you're-
associate
but
only
you're-
with the first part. Then I guess you.
That's blind faith,
Okay.
because there's no evidence real quick, let's run outside. We're going to find a person. Let's just say this person happens to be wearing half their clothes and is screaming at cats that aren't there, but you're going to go out there and have faith that they're going to build you a house. Okay.
That would be with no previous
That's
experience.
faith.
That's blind faith or faith.
Right. Versus the fact that Thomas has a background, and you're aware of some of that background in him being able to accomplish right angles.
Okay, so then, well, I don't know. It depends on how much he's had to drink, but
What time of day it is?
okay. Then, in that case, blind faith are the type of people who are following this type of stuff, right? Is it not an application of blind faith because there is no proof for their claim? There isn't enough proof.
But the reason why they're applying blind faith is because they need to rationalize or justify a situation that is unexplainable to them otherwise.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Oh, we're in agreement on that for sure.
So what we're really talking about is a group of people that prefers to rationalize and justify versus logically deduce and come up with outcomes.
Yeah.
Which is very much like religion.
Whoops.
What?
So, and that was the first thing we started talking before we had started recording. Was exactly that. Is that this stuff that I was pulling out of this flat Earth society and this beliefs and this system in general and the theories going along with it sound to me exactly like the stuff that we hear from religion. It's the only difference is one isn't 2,000 years old or more, depending on which religion you pick. And I thought, wow, that's funny that how hypocritical of so many people to make claims that these people are nuts when right next door in your family, in my family, everywhere we look and know,
It's
90% of the
totalitarianism as well, though. It doesn't look. I'm not clearly. I'm not one of these people that. I'm an atheist essentially. Okay, so when it comes down, I am an atheist. But you can also have people that absolutely believe in the fatherland.
What's the fatherland?
And they'll go out and they'll have a war, and they'll decide to eradicate a whole group of other people on the planet out of blind faith for that leader. So it is the cult of personality is what we're talking about when we talk about religion, because you have to build something to stand behind in order for you to build your power base. Maybe I'm going way off on the tangent here, but at the same time, once somebody found that they have that ability to gather other people around them.
Yeah. So what if it's multiple people though? In that case, you're talking like dictatorship. What if this is multiple sources? It's not one.
Right. So you've got one in this case since what is it, 2015 or 14?
So yeah, something in that.
Yeah, and then if you watch because we're kind of flat Earth is not new. It's been around since we decided that lightning was a justification or a discipline from God, because that's the easiest way to explain it. Why would that lightning hit right here? Well, clearly, you did something wrong.
Yep.
Go over and cut off his head.
Yep.
So, but then you had 15 gods.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. I mean, it's
I see your point.
Long-winded way of getting.
Yeah, but yeah. No, but but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think there's always going to be a group of people who, and that's why for me, I think it goes back to the narcissism of things. I think there's always going to be people who want to say and pretend that they know this new knowledge that nobody else knows, and they're so dead set to prove it, to have that power or to have that recognition that they're willing to do anything possible to do it. And if they can bring other people into it, it builds it and makes it stronger, and it validifies their point of view. The more people who agree with you, the more validity your point of view has, just like a religion. If you can get followers, obviously you're telling the truth. These 8 million people can't be wrong.
Well, and you can also, you feign false modesty, just like a priest does. It's the same thing. I am modest in the size of what this really is.
So for the leaders, I completely agree with you. How do you guys feel about the people who chose to follow it?
Well, the same way I choose to identify people who follow religion, some people are not strong enough to believe in themselves, so they need something else to believe in.
Okay, but take the essence and move it to something different. Because one of the things I saw in multiple YouTube videos or whatever.
Just waiting for Glenn to explode across the table.
One of the things I saw multiple times was that it was almost the mentality which we see all the freaking time in many different capacities, supporting the underdog. Bring us you've never felt comfortable in society, or you're the nerd, or you're the outcast, or whatever. Come, we'll make you feel comfortable.
Well, I think that's
a lot of things start like this.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going on a little bit in this community. And if you watch what I've noticed, and again, so I keep pulling out this thing about narcissism. One of the things I notice when I watch a lot of these folks, I'm just going to leave it at that.
Again, you're just talking about the leaders. I'm not talking about the leaders.
I'm just talking about anybody who's involved in this movement.
But you're talking about the leaders of the movement.
No, I'm talking about anyone involved. Listen to the words I say. Anyone involved, not the leaders. Everyone that I hear speak about this uses the same type of brainwashing comments and techniques that everybody in religion uses to pull people in. They prey on the weak. They say things that everybody can identify with. They give you a feeling that they're the ones that can help you feel better, include you. You're not a loner. You're not weird for thinking outside the box. Yeah. We think the same way. Come join us. Come be with us.
That's what humans
That's right.
do.
That's what humans do, period.
We need to be together in collective
we're very
We need to not feel lonely.
Exactly. And I think that's what's going on with a lot of this is they're pulling people who are weak, that are willing to believe in any sort of crazy conspiracy theory, but I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if it's the leader of these movements talking or the people that are starting to become heavier involved. When they speak, it reminds me of going to a summer camp at a religious church when I was a kid. The words that they use, it's just like a when you go at late night TV and a psychic commercial comes on. Are you depressed? Are you sad? Are you alone? Like all these types of phrases. It's a way of pulling people in that are weak, that aren't strong enough to go, dude, stop talking shit.
So when you guys were watching I have YouTube Red, so I don't know. Were there ads?
I didn't see any. No. I watched it on Netflix.
I use an ad blocker for my
about.
network at home, so I don't see ads. But
okay, so anyway. I mean, I don't know if they're making cash off this or not.
There are ads being So they showed in the documentary actually that there are people paying for the billboard signs that are going up. There are conventions that are being put together. There's
convention was the obvious business model that I saw within this, because everything has a business model.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. There's always somebody to gain.
Where's the money?
Right? Yeah. There's somebody has to gain something, otherwise it wouldn't keep proliferating. Right? Or is that the right? Anyway, but whatever.
Proliferating.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, I see the business model just like I see it in trading baseball cards and going to a baseball card convention, just like anything else. I see that there is a certain aspect though. This is what I've never understood is, my wife actually said, "Don't get pissed off on Mike." To what end did they fake the moon landing? Why? So that we could say that we were ahead of Russia?
No,
that's one of the biggest ones I hear.
Why they would have motivation to fake that. I mean, think about it. That's government control. That's people control. That's profitability. That's our country's better than yours. That's pride, patriotism.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million reasons to fake that. Okay. I'm not saying that it was faked, but I very much believe that it happened. However, there's tons of motivation.
Now, using Occam's razor, what is the absolute probability that there has not been definitive proof that we have faked the moon landing?
But isn't Occam's razor the simplest answer is often the correct?
Yes.
The simplest would be that it's faked because it's a lot easier to fake it than get to the moon.
No, it's not.
Are you kidding me? It should just be video.
No, it's a lot harder to have 1,000 people keep a secret.
That's okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might be right about that.
Actually, let me rephrase that. 600,000 people keep a secret.
Because they all watched the launch and
No, they worked on the engineering. They actually had to test it. Then they had to put it up there. Then they had to. I mean,
I got you.
The probability that none of those people on their deathbed said, "Oh, by the way, all that was fake."
No,
I'm with you.
The probability that they didn't have the original master film from it, that somebody eventually, because dude, we know who Deep Throat is. That was a conspiracy, and we found out everything about that conspiracy. The president couldn't even keep a dude robbing a friggin' the Democratic National Convention's offices a secret.
Yeah, I'm with you. When it comes to theories like that, especially like the moon landing, I feel like there's so many people involved in some of these things that like, how do you have a meeting with 1 million people and say, hey, let's all agree to be on the same page?
Was Galileo a what are they called? Illuminati?
I don't know.
I mean, because this all seems to revolve around. According to the Flat Earthers, according to Flat Earthers, we had to fake. That's what it was.
Freemasons.
According to Flat Earthers, we had to fake the moon landing. NASA is a conspiracy organization.
Yeah, they definitely point to NASA as being
big time.
A conspiracy
they hate
organization.
NASA.
Yeah.
So NASA came about because of what? Because the truth was about to come out that
or to I can't say that freaking word. But to prolificate the word.
But
the concept. The lie, so to speak, is what they're saying.
But in order to put a missile from Germany into England, you had to understand gravity. So that we already were, it wasn't like there was a danger all of a sudden, but NASA stood up all of a sudden?
Again, you're going into the facts. And the facts are not going to pan out. That's the whole thing.
So whenever we devolve into facts, this whole concept breaks down.
And that's the same. As a matter of fact, I wanted to mention a couple of things from
what you just said is the saddest sentence I've ever heard. You said devolve into facts. That's the saddest sentence I've heard in a very long time.
It's all around us every single day. I mean, the churches pop up like they pop up Starbucks.
You just got a president that does this. So
yeah, it's everywhere. It's been everywhere, and people accept it, which kind of blows me away. Why they don't accept this too? It's no crazier to me than what we already live with every day.
They're starting to accept it. It's picking up strength.
It's picking up because of YouTube.
Well, that's true too.
Whatever the means are, Netflix is now helping too. I want to get into a little bit of that too, but real quick,
business model.
Yeah, they have tried to use some scientific technology to prove their point. And 2 examples that they showed in this particular documentary, if you're not going to watch it, I just wanted to lay them out. One of which was they set up a 3-mile span with a laser pointer with 2 large boards on either end and shooting across this, and what was supposed to be, I guess, a level shot. And the idea was that if they could see it at the same height down on each side, from the side that it was shot to the board on the other side that was reflecting.
They were using water, by the way, as their
the leveler.
base point. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what. Okay, so but it was a 3.
They had to be in water. The base of the target has to be in water. This is what you actually do if you're going through classes that are fun, and you've got a good physics teacher, and he takes you out and does this.
Yeah, to show you the curvature of the Earth.
Yes.
Yeah, they're using exact. So, well, that's a great example. You would do that in probably your high school physics class.
Yes.
So for people who are uneducated, or I mean, I can't break it down to anything other than being flat out being uneducated. Exactly. You would not have seen this example done, same example that they did before, and also proving that the curvature of the Earth exists. So had you not seen that, it might seem like a novel idea for you to go out and try. And when they do it, and this is what I really appreciate about the documentary, is they didn't go out there and say, "Oh, look at these guys are going to mess up." They said, "We'll just follow, we'll record, watch. And you guys will show us."
Go ahead and jump off the garage with no padding on.
There you go, and see if you can fly. Well, go ahead. So they go out there with them, and they do their test, and they come back with, well, it didn't work, and then they end up raising it to compensate for the curvature, and all of a sudden they work, and they walk around like,
that's really interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. The other one was they purchased a $20,000. Yeah, it was a laser level GPS tracker. This is something that your average consumer would never come close to owning. It's really.
I do remember this one.
Yeah, so I mean,
that was classic.
It's a very expensive piece of hardware that the average consumer would never have any need for. But they bought it so that they could try and prove that there was not a rotational change over time because the planet is not rotating. Well, and then they come back with, wait a minute, it's moved 15 degrees, which is what it turns every hour because the planet is rotating.
Because a round thing is 360 degrees, and if you divide that by 24 hours, it's 15.
Weird.
So this
Weird.
This high.
What's that stuff called again? It's a 4-letter word.
Wait, whoa.
M-A-T-H.
Matter.
Something like
Matter.
that. Matter. Oh, the dark matter. That's what keeps it matter. That's really gravity.
Math does explain anything. It's all about pronunciation.
That's right.
So I thought that was interesting.
Sort of like hookah.
And
I wasn't with a prostitute. I was with a hooker.
I thought, like I said, I thought that was really great about the documentary, is that they did not attack anyone. They gave everyone a fair opportunity to express their opinion and their angle and their point of view, and then in the end, it showed itself real quickly and very easily for what the facts were. And that's the kind of unbiased stuff I love. Unbiased approaches I love. To things like this.
I did appreciate that about that documentary. I've seen some others in the past where they tried to prove it more.
In any of these videos, do they ever explain? So one of the things I heard them saying was that we should be pointing a plane down, right? Because to compensate for you should always be pointing down in a flight if you're compensating for
the dome,
or if you want to drive it into the ground.
If you're on a sphere, so you should always be flying
down.
Oh,
yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Because if we're on a sphere,
but if we're on a disk and we're flying towards the lie called east, shouldn't they always be turning to the right on their disk?
Well, unless it's a straight path from one side to the other, because you don't have to go around the edge of the perimeter of this dome that they imagine. You could fly a straight path. You could go up and then go straight to New York and go down. Now, why would you need to go right or left?
So are we not seeing the flyover states as we fly over the states?
No, you're seeing them.
Okay, so you would still, actually, if you're flying over the flyover states in the northern hemisphere, you should be turning to the right. If you're on a disk, you would be turning to the left. Sorry, not on a sphere, but if you were on the northern hemisphere, you should be turning to the left. If you're going west, you should. If you're going west over that amount of space.
Well, that goes back to the comments that they've made about GPS being lies, and they think they're going straight when actually they're curving. They say that they're curving.
It's just really bad weed, isn't it?
I'd say it's really good weed.
Who's that?
Oh, I think under this model, this dome model too. I'm pretty sure you could make GPS work just the same, right? Because it's a triangulation of time periods, right? So it wouldn't matter.
don't know.
It wouldn't matter if it wasn't spherical.
To me, one of the things that pops out about this is we've got people. How many people have climbed Mount Everest? A lot, right? More than 4.
Oh, so
More than one.
wait. I know where you're going. They said that their claim is that you can't see 40,000 feet is what you have to get to actually look and see that it would be straight, and that planes they only let us fly 36,000 feet, so we can't.
Well, that's a lie.
They don't. Well, that's what they say.
I've been in planes that were at 40,000.
That's what they
before.
say. Is that since you and then if you looked out the window, hold on, it gets better. If you looked out the window, the glass is so thick and curved that it gives the perspective of curvature for the Earth's. This is the type of logic that is. It's simple to use.
Well, this is the same thing when they did an experiment where they took a plate, a giant plate or sheet or something with stripes on it.
Yeah.
And then they went out over a large body of water, and when the stripes started disappearing through a magnified eyepiece, the stripes started disappearing, and they instantly came back and said, "That's the heat that's making it disappear. It's the heat waves that you just can't see through them."
Yeah.
So I mean, they're always coming up with the exact. It was heat that made the sails disappear on the horizon.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that struck me about the documentary that we just happened to be random to talk about. Do you remember, Jay? There's the point where the guy lives close to Seattle and he can see Seattle.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's still the top of the buildings.
He says you couldn't see that if the Earth was round.
Yeah, but you couldn't see the docks in Seattle, could you?
Yeah. Well, here's my response to that. If going back to what I was saying earlier about the distance between things, where you can't change the distance of New York to, L.A. whatever. Anyway, so most people maybe know the circumference. Let's just say the distance from one end to the other, and we call it the equator. So the circumference of the equator.
No, it is the equator.
It is the equator. I'm saying, but some people don't believe that. So that distance is roughly 25,000 miles. Okay, so at 60,000 feet elevation in a plane, your point of view is a little over 250 miles. So we're going to say that's how much. What's the percentage? What's 250% of 25,000? That's 1. So at 60,000 feet, you're seeing 1% of the Earth's surface. So if you live close enough to Seattle that you can see it, the amount of space that you're looking at on the Earth's surface is probably what? 1/100th or 1/1000th?
It's more like 1/1000.
1/1000th of a percent of the Earth.
Yeah, so very little curvature.
So even people who believe that the Earth is round would agree that's not enough distance to see the curvature of the Earth.
So
because you're seeing 1/1000th of the surface.
Was that the building should disappear behind the.
That's what he said.
Right.
But what I'm getting at is if what he's trying to say about the Earth being round, for him to not be able to see Seattle from where he was at, the Earth would have to be, instead of being 25,000 miles, it would have to be like 6 miles.
It is.
So the Earth would be this tiny little dot, and we could walk to Japan.
It is.
Hey, that'd be cool.
Based on his
You can.
statement. Right?
Well, you just need faith.
Am I the only one?
Just need faith. Dude.
First of all, science doesn't care what you believe.
That's
okay?
true. That's
So,
true.
That's just it.
I know. I didn't realize I could get to Japan in 4 steps.
Here, let me explain this whole thing to you, Thomas.
Maybe we can walk across water.
The reason why you can't, in this conspiracy called travel industry, get to Tokyo in 35 seconds is because there's a conspiracy by the fossil fuel industry to drive you around in a circle. And
So they can make more money.
Exactly.
Okay,
Like a taxi cab running up your meter.
Got it.
And nobody's figured that out.
Got it. Okay, got it.
Awesome.
You should call these guys because that might help them.
All right, guys.
That could be a possible addition.
Walking is weird.
Walking is weird. This distance thing is really strange.
Yep.
You guys are weird. We're getting close to our time here. I wanted to take us out on one more quick question. Why is this spreading? Why is this growing? What do you guys think?
It's like a fungus.
Because we haven't created a virus for you.
So we already hit one thing.
I mean, not a virus, but a vaccine. Sorry.
Yeah,
It is a virus.
somebody stands to gain from it, right? There is money being
Well, that's how we always.
off of this
That's
belief
what
system.
we always believe about most conspiracy theories is that maybe there's somebody making money off.
There is definitely
making
somebody
people
making money
believe
off
this.
of this. There's a lot of people making money.
Well,
off
it's like
this.
Jay was saying earlier. There's a business model.
Yes.
They're producing content,
Yep.
which is a commodity.
I think they stumbled into a business model, though. Just
That's
like
possible.
just...
I think a lot of things like that, because if it grows more than they expected, they're like, holy crap, there's money here. Let's,
Why did everybody go to Jonestown?
I don't know what's in Jonestown.
Guyana. Shit, I'm so old. The People's Temple followed Jim Jones to Guyana. There were 800 people that followed him down there because he was a cult of personality. And then he had the... Wow, never mind. I'm way too old.
I'm with you on this.
We could say Charles Manson. I mean, it's the same concept, right? That people follow...
Jonestown happened after Charles Manson,
Yeah.
so...
Okay.
It was newer.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I don't know it, but I know. Okay.
You know Waco?
No.
You don't know Waco?
Anyway.
Lord.
Yeah. Another
It's
reason...
spreading because people need to feel together with something. Yes, there's a business
camaraderie.
model. Yes, there's a business model behind it. There's a business model in capitalism for capitalism. Mm-hmm. The reason why it's spreading is because people need to feel they're part of something more than themselves. That's just flat out what it is.
And if we can sell them bumper stickers...
Why not sell them bumper stickers?
Right.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, I want to leave us on one quick thought. We are actually part of this conspiracy theory.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking the whole... I'm like, dude, you know how many more hits that this could possibly get the Netflix documentary all by itself?
Yep.
Right.
Every time somebody like us takes a concept like this to whatever, laugh at it, hate it, support it,
Talk about it. Give it content.
This is the way and the reason we have things like this today, because people will feed off of it. So that which we laugh at, we are also supporting.
Hey, man, any chance I get to poke fun at somebody else's beliefs?
There's no news like bad news. Everything
No bad
sells.
publicity.
No such thing as bad publicity.
15 seconds of fame.
That's it. All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully it hasn't converted you into something you didn't want to convert into, and we'll see you next time. Show notes and other info can be found at our website, greatdistraction.com. The Great Distraction is listed in iTunes, and we greatly appreciate it when our listeners take the time to look us up and leave us a 5-star rating and review. That helps our show grow and motivates us to continue producing content. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can do so using the email address, greatdistractionpodcast@gmail.com, or via our website. We're always interested in hearing any thoughts, comments, or questions from our listeners. Keeping up on the latest from us can be done in several different ways. You can add us to your favorite RSS feed tracker. The link is available on our website or in iTunes. Or you can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for Great Distraction, one word, no space. As always, thank you for listening, and thank you for all the support.